Hello, I'm Leslie,
And I'm Erik.
and this is Erik Martin Says. And if you've joined us before, you know that we typically discuss estate planning, wills, trust, probate, but really we encourage, having discussions that are a little bit difficult. And given the state of our current situation, education is one of those things that kind of is getting everybody going. But before we get into that, I think it's important we need to understand where little Erik Martin from the Bayou came from and why this is a topic you wanted to talk about today.
I'm very excited to talk about public education today in the state and where it's headed, but I'm with you. I think the listeners need to know who I am first. And so I did indeed grow up on the Bayou in Southeast Texas, a little community called Hildebrandt. Try and find that on the map.
Never heard of it.
It's near Beaumont,
All right.
the Golden Triangle. But we grew up on the other side of the Bayou from where our community really was. And so we got to go to the Beaumont schools, but our church and all of our friends and everything else we did in our life was in LaBelle, which was right across the bayou. And so that's where I grew up. And, we drive across the bridge and go to church every Sunday. And my mother actually, and this is kind of how education got into my life and became such a big point in my life, is that my mom wanted us to go to the schools across the bayou. It's called Hampshire Finette. And that's where we ended up going, but we had to move. But at a very early age, my mom actually tried to get our community of Hildebrandt annexed into the Hampshire Finette schools. And she took it all the way to the state.
Nice.
Hired a lawyer, had the coolest name of all time. Banker Fairs was our lawyer.
Nice.
And me as a 6-year-old just kind of following along and, whatever mom would update us. But she tried to get us annexed because she knew that the schools were better over here than they were in Beaumont. And she ended up failing that endeavor, but I don't know if I've ever told her this. I'm super proud of her for taking that fight to the state. Like they had to go to Austin, bring the lawyer, had hearings. The superintendent of Beaumont showed up to the hearings, and his whole argument was, we can't lose their white faces.
No.
That's the kind of arguments we made back in the 80s.
Right.
But it was a valid point. I mean, diversity is good, and we were this little community of white people, and, Beaumont is much more diverse, and so we got it, and, we lost that fight, but, my mom taught me the importance of education and the importance of fighting for it from a very early age.
And you saw that there was it was discriminatory. Why do you think that school why wouldn't the schools have been equal? I mean, that's something me as a kid would have wondered, like, why don't they just make our school better?
Yeah. It's kind of the challenge that we're facing today that we'll get into later. But so I grew up in Hildebrandt. We'd go to church in LaBelle. My dad was a deacon there. My grandpa was a deacon there. I got my first Bible there. Still have it today.
Very nice.
Has my name, Erik Kyle Martin, on the front.
Looks well used.
Well used is an understatement. But even as a kid, I read this thing like crazy. I still know all of the books of the Bible. I can roll through the Old Testament, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. I can do the whole thing. And, it was a big part of my life growing up, both going to church and then education. And so we went to the Beaumont schools through my 5th grade and then switched over to Hampshire Finette. But
what is Hampshire Finette?
Hampshire Finette is the school district that we ended up moving into right across the bayou.
And you moved to have better schools.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. It was important to my parents. And like I said, all of our friends were already over there. We just, because of the dividing line being the bayou, we went to Beaumont. So switched over to Hampshire Finette, and, education was always important to me. I enjoyed making good grades and working for good grades. Heck, back then, my mom didn't even bribe me.
Oh, I got bribed. But I also enjoyed the good grades.
Yeah. So I just, I like the challenge of school.
Yeah.
And the thing that I really liked about Hampshire Finette was that it was smaller, and so had a lot more one-on-one with some really good teachers that helped shape my life and my work ethic. I know it sounds crazy to say, but my favorite class in all of school was calculus. And everyone hated the calculus teacher, Miss Pretty, but I loved her, and she liked me because I just was a math nerd.
Yeah. And so she was somebody that really inspired you?
She did. She taught me that there are no problems out there without a solution. And that's what calculus is. It's proofs. If you know the beginning, you know the end, you can work out the middle. And so she helped me learn that. I had tons of good teachers. My physics teacher, one time, I was waving a yardstick around. And she said, "Mr. Martin, that is not a baseball bat." And I said, "I know, it's a sword." And she laughed just like that. And that's when I knew she was a good teacher.
Love it.
Yeah. We had two sets of twins that taught. One was in middle school, the Boudreaux twins. They were both amazing. History and English. And then when we got to high school, we had the Baxter twins, and they taught algebra and English. And they're very passionate. I mean, if you remember back then, like, teachers loved to teach.
They did.
They did. It was a legitimate career.
Yeah. I remember my chemistry teacher throwing her pinky toe at me once, and she got into an accident, lost her toe. She kept it in a jar, and she would introduce herself, and she'd be like, "You don't believe me?" Whoop. Tossed her toe. And yeah, I liked chemistry a lot because of that. Like, this chick's wild. What has she got going on?
One of the Baxter twins let me blow something up in classroom. I think to this day their vent hood still has a stain on the glass where he let me light some potassium on fire. And he was like, "Look, if you can balance the chemical equation on the board, then I'll let you blow it up." So I balanced the chemical equation. He let me blow it up.
Nice.
I'll never forget it.
I love it.
But those are the teachers, in public education that had a passion for teaching. Like, that was their lifelong mission. That's what they were going to do for 30 years and then retire, get good benefits. They never made the most money, but teaching was never really about the salary.
Right. They could live.
Yeah, and comfortably.
Yeah.
Especially if there was two of them. Like, if you had two teachers that were married, they had a comfortable life. Had a nice little house, had a couple cars, had some
Summers
kids.
off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take trips during the summer. That's what public education used to be like in Texas.
Yeah. So growing up, what kind of values did your family instill in you?
Work hard, be honest, help those that can't help themselves. I would say from watching my dad and my grandpa as deacons in the church, that was like their biggest thing was, look, this is about the community. There's a lot of people out there that aren't as fortunate as us that can't do the things that we can do. And so they would always bring those issues to my dad or my grandpa, and they were problem solvers. But they never turned their back on anyone. They never didn't have time for them. And so that's what I took was watch out for the little guy.
Yeah.
Like, help him out. Work hard, be honest.
Be a part of your community.
Yes. That's how you become a pillar of the community, is helping people and being honest.
Yeah.
When you have credibility, people trust you.
Yeah.
And when people trust you, you can get good things done.
So how did you develop your views on faith and responsibility and service? By watching your family?
Yeah. Going to church, being a member of the church. We had a youth group. We were always there. Sundays, sometimes Wednesdays, we'd go to youth camp together. But it was, Jesus was a big part of my life growing up. I still remember his teachings. And one of his biggest teachings was help the little guy. Like, help those that can't help themselves. And also lead by example, show them the way.
Yeah.
And so, going to church from the time I can remember, sleeping on those hard Baptist pews till now, like, that is the mission. The mission isn't how many times can you go to church. The mission is, what are you going to do with Jesus' teachings now that you have them?
Yeah.
Now that you've learned them, what are you going to do with them? It's not about taking a test. It's like, how are you going to act? Are you going to do what Jesus would do or not? And so that's always been part of my personality. And, my mission in life is to do, like, clearly work hard, have a nice family, but then also to help others.
Yeah. So after high school, you went on to college. Tell me about that.
So I went to Lamar University in 2 years where I met my beautiful wife, Kimberly. And then I went off to the University of Texas, graduated from there, decided I wanted to go to law school. And, part of it was to go make some money.
Right.
It's nice to make money. But part of it also is it's a career that lends itself to helping people.
Right.
And so went UT undergrad, Baylor Law, and then got a job here in Fort Worth and been here ever since. But, I was in school from the time I was 5 till 24 almost. So, yeah, education has been a huge part of my life.
And not only yours, but your wife's as well.
My wife is a career educator. God bless her soul.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's taught since she was going to be a flight attendant back in 2001, and then 9/11 happened. It wasn't the best industry to be in.
All right.
So she went back and got a degree in just general studies and got her teaching certificate in 2001 and has been teaching ever since. She took a break when our second son, Caden, was born, but she's been teaching in some capacity for 25 years now.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's a big part of both of our lives. Mine is more the professional route, but she really has a passion for teaching young kids and specifically teaching them to read. That's her favorite thing in the whole world.
How do you feel? I know my little brother was one of the couple of classes where they stopped teaching cursive. Do you remember when Texas stopped doing that?
Yes.
How do you feel about that? What was the motive behind that?
I just think it's a bummer. It's nice to write in cursive.
Yeah.
Cursive is nice. It's one of the skills that we learned, and they decided that we didn't need it. So I hate to see it go.
They do teach it now again, but there's years of students that have no idea what cursive is. They might as well be Billy Madison up there. Like, they are not getting it. So, okay, back to education. When did education become something that you really care deeply about?
Most recently, really my whole life, like we just talked about, education has always been important. I think it is, if done correctly, it levels the playing field for people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we may not have all started in the same place. We may not all end up in the same place. But if you educate a child, they have a much better chance. And you educate them properly. Give them a fair chance to get out there and compete. And so I think it's about the competition of life. And it's so much easier if you are educated. You have, a frame of reference for whatever you're getting into. You don't have to fear what comes next because you're like, I'll figure it out.
Right.
They taught me how to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
And so
I've heard of this. History repeats itself.
Exactly. And it seems like we're kind of throwing history away right now in the curriculum for other things that we can talk about in a second. But really watching my wife's passion for teaching is what's kept it at the forefront.
Mm-hmm.
I did my time. I went through law school. Now it's time to work, make money, have fun. But my wife has been in the battle this whole time. And watching her passion, no matter what they throw at her, has really, kept it at the forefront of my mind and made me do some digging and do some research on the why. Like, why are we making our teachers miserable? And, I've lived with it.
Yeah.
Like being married to Kim and watching what she's had to go through just to, employ her passion, which is teaching kids, has been mind-blowing and eye-opening. A lot of people think that teachers work 8 to 3 and then go home and don't work on the weekends and get the whole summer off. My wife was working 7/12s.
I believe it.
7 days a week, 12 hours a day, just to try and keep up with the requirements that start at the state, come through the district, all about the testing.
And she's young, like kindergarten, pre-K,
First
right?
grade.
First grade.
First grade. They don't have to test, but they start teaching to the test in the first grade.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is probably the single most important and profound statement that she ever made when I knew it was a problem. Because you're in the, like, kindergarten, you learn how to be a person.
Mm-hmm.
Like, get along with other people.
Stand in lunch line.
Yeah. Stand in lunch line,
Go to
tie your
lunch.
shoes,
Yeah.
you know, go to the bathroom when you need to. Then you get to first grade, you've had a whole year of learning to be a little person. You get to the first grade, you learn what? Read and write.
Mm-hmm.
Not even arithmetic yet, just read and write. She told me that on average, there's so much stuff, paperwork, data that she has to go through in a day. She said, on average, I get to teach my students to read for 7 minutes a day.
Out of a how long of an hour a day?
From 7 to 3.
And she has control
Just
of 7.
8 hours. She said, I have 7 minutes in my curriculum to sit down with these kids and read.
What?
And I thought, that's a problem.
What is she having to do the rest of the time?
Teach them for different testing. I mean, she has other subjects that she has to teach. So in first grade, and once they get to third grade, I think each teacher has a subject. But in first grade, they're teaching all of the subjects.
Mm-hmm.
But they have math, and they have, you know, art time. They have PE time. They have lunch. So all of that. So I don't know how many hours she gets to dedicate to teaching, but she said 7 minutes.
To be her own teacher and not...
Sit down with books and read with the kids and teach them how to read.
Wow. As a person having a little kid going into kindergarten, that does not sound great.
No, and, you know, part of the issue is that the teachers are way more accessible than they used to be. And so the parents, instead of having to, like, call the principal, set a meeting with the teacher, they can just email them
Oh, yeah, I have
whatever
an
they
app.
want. And so she also has to deal with that, you know, in the classroom, dealing with parents that are upset about whatever.
This, that, and the other.
Yeah. But mostly it is the curriculum that comes down from the state. Like, one time she showed me the TEKS, which is the state, I don't even know what the acronym's TEKS, but it's their curriculum.
Mm-hmm.
And she was printing something out to teach to the first graders the next day, and it said at the bottom, 7th grade math TEKS. So the state's solution to make the kids better at math is to challenge them. They keep pushing the math down, 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 until it gets to a point where it's like, these kids don't even know.
Have a foundation.
They can't even write their numbers yet.
Yeah.
Why are we doing this?
Wow. Has being a father changed how you look at public schools?
Yeah, because we made the decision. We had to make the decision. Kim and I had a long conversation about it. We were in Crowley schools. We wanted to kind of move out to the country, but we also considered going to Pascal or Arlington Heights. We considered private school, thought about it. We're just public school kids. Both of us are. And so we had to look around at schools, and everyone says Alito schools are great.
Mm-hmm.
So when I started thinking about moving out there, I started talking to people, and they're like, yeah, it's great. Their football team's amazing. And they're like, yeah, it's great. Their football team's amazing. After like the 12th person, I was like, what about their academics?
I know we're in Texas, but...
Yeah, my kids probably aren't playing college ball. Like, do they teach? They're like, no, they're good schools.
Yeah.
And so other than the issues of having to teach every single grade to the test, Alito's been awesome.
Yeah.
We've loved it. And I know a lot of kids that went through the schools in the city, Pascal and Arlington Heights, and they loved it. They had a wonderful time. They had great teachers. And so, yeah, watching my kids grow up and get the opportunities like we were talking about. There was art there. My son didn't play football his senior year, but he had his welding school to go to, the ag mechanics program.
Nice.
Yeah. And my son Caden had time to learn to be a pilot.
Yeah.
While getting an education. And so, yeah, watching them grow up and watching them go through school has just cemented the fact that we need good public schools in Texas.
So, because you said that, what do you think Texas schools are supposed to accomplish?
Clearly getting kids ready for college, But not only that, getting them ready for life.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's very difficult to get through life if you can't read, write, and do math. So that's the basics. I wish we had more language opportunities. You know, like when I was in high school, we could take Spanish or we could take French, but you took it for 1 year and forgot it.
Right.
You know, when Kim and I were in Italy, we were talking to those kids, and they were like, we start learning English in the 3rd grade.
Yeah.
We learn Italian, we learn English, and we get to pick another one.
Wow.
So I wish we had those kind of opportunities to set our kids up to do whatever they want.
And currently in DISD, Quincy has the opportunity to go to a dual language class. And I just don't know how she would do that since we don't speak Spanish at home. Because like you, I took 3 classes and I don't remember anything else. So
that's how you start speaking Spanish at home.
Yeah.
Your daughter comes home speaking Spanish and you start learning
what?
it. But I think Spanish should be maybe not mandatory, but offered to every student.
Mm-hmm. Especially here in Texas.
Yeah. I mean, you're just denying the statistics if you don't think that you need to speak Spanish.
Agreed.
And so there's no downfall to it.
No. And in Canada, they speak French,
Yeah.
Most places do speak more than one language.
Sure. And there's a lot of Spanish speakers that move to Texas and learn English.
Mm-hmm.
But still, communicating cross language would be even better. And
Yeah.
I mean, we have the resources to do it. I don't know why we don't do it.
I think that there's probably not a lot of conversations about it. There's people like me, like, I don't know, I'll speak Spanish, but people don't talk about it. Just there's not open forums to talk about it because a lot of Texas education has gotten so political. I mean, just the whole voucher thing. I mean, that was a very hot topic. And now they've passed, and almost every single thing that was warned about is happening.
Yeah. Vouchers take money out of the public school coffer.
1,000.
Yep. There's no argument. They just do. And when the state of Texas, being our leaders from Greg Abbott to Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick to Attorney General Ken Paxton to the House of Representatives in Texas, when they say for 5 or 6 years that the public schools are underfunded, and then they start taking money out of it, like there's no way to square that up and say that they're looking out for public education.
Mm-mm.
Like I learned math in the 2nd grade that could solve that problem.
In public education.
Yeah. And so I wish that we could just sit here and talk about public education without getting into politics, but you can't.
Mm-mm.
There is one body in Texas that sets education budget, education standards, the testing, all of that comes from our House of Representatives and our Senate, and it's run by the governor. The governor has his initiatives like the vouchers. It took him 2 sessions to pass it because 21 Republicans stood up against him. And so what did he do? He primaried a candidate against every single one of them and took out about 6 of them. Got them beat in the primary and then got them passed last year. And there's no need for this budget issue. So first off, it's accountability. They can't say our public schools are failing because they're the ones that are running them.
They've been in charge for a very long time.
Since Ann Richards,
Mm-hmm.
the Republicans have been in office.
I remember when Ann Richards.
Our Constitution, which is what Texans need to pay attention to. Like, I'm not telling people how to vote. I'm telling them to do their research. If you read Article 7 of our Texas Constitution, mandates that the legislature provide a full and efficient public school system. Not just provide schools. It has to be efficient. It has to run. And they're not doing that. The other thing our Constitution did is it set aside all of the lands in West Texas, the public school lands. They are surveyed, and the abstracts are public school lands. Those lands have oil and gas on them, and they're producing at historic rates and have been for 2 decades. That money is constitutionally mandated to provide the efficient public school system. Back in the Rick Perry days, we had a surplus, and he started moving money from that into what he called a rainy day fund, which I don't think is constitutional. I don't know if anybody's challenged it. They may have.
Yeah.
But regardless, we have the money. They just will not allocate it to public schools. And so it comes down to politics real quick.
Yeah.
And you have to say why. So follow the money. Why does Greg Abbott want these vouchers so bad? Go do your research. There's 2 guys in West Texas, Tim Dunn and Ferris Wilkes, that are running this campaign to destroy our public schools so that they can take them over. That's the scary part. I've been trying to figure out what their plan is for 2 years now. No, 4 years now. And I was talking to a guy from Aledo ISD who was not the superintendent. He may be more powerful. He was the head football coach and athletic director for 20 years, won all those state championships. Like, this man is plugged in.
Yes.
And I was talking to him about it.
Respected.
He said, Eric, they want to buy the entire public school system. They want to cripple it to where it looks so bad that the state wants to offload it, and they want to buy the whole public school system and start teaching their version of Christianity, which it's not my version of Christianity. And all of their, used to we would have called them a cult, but now they have billions of dollars.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we would have lumped them in with the David Koreshes of the world, but now they have billions of dollars and give Greg Abbott probably $10 or $20 million a year to push this voucher system. Like, this is from those guys, and a guy from Pennsylvania named Jeff Yass, who gave Greg Abbott $6 million before his last election. And if that doesn't raise your eyebrows, then what does?
Yeah. And what's the purpose of them destroying the education system?
The only thing that anyone's told me that's plausible is so that they can purchase it. Think of a toll road in place of a highway. The state just pushes that burden off on a private entity and lets them build the road, but then we're paying them tolls for the rest of our life.
Right.
That's what they're trying to do with the public school system, is cripple it to the point where it makes more sense for the state just to sell it to them, which is sad enough. But then if you look at their ideologue and they're wild.
Oh, yeah. There's 10 commandments in the classrooms now. Not mandated unless they're donated.
Yeah.
But who's donating them?
Those people and their PACs.
And are they themselves following the 10 commandments?
They're definitely not following the Constitution. The separation of church and state, that's in the Texas Constitution and the U.S. Constitution. So with the separation of church and state, there's no world where the 10 Commandments are allowed in the classroom, and there's no point of it. They're not teaching the 10 Commandments. They're teaching the public school curriculum. But the reason they did it is it plays well with their voters, with the, always Republican, Christian, conservative. And, I don't hold it against them that they vote for Republicans. It's what they've been taught.
Yeah.
I voted Republican my whole life because my parents did, my family does. But if they did even a little bit of research, they would know that the 10 Commandments are not allowed in the classroom. And that was totally just to placate those voters. And so I guess it was probably all the way back in Reagan where he flipped the Christian vote. Like, everyone in the South, all these Christians in the South, all the ones I grew up with, they used to all vote Democrat.
Yeah.
And then Reagan flipped them into Republicans, which is fine. But now everyone is so militant on, are you a Republican? Are you a Democrat? Like, it's just one or the other. Like, they've reduced themselves to a letter. Are you an R or a D?
Yeah.
And that's crazy, because then things happen like what's happening to the public education system. If you can polarize the community, then you can slip things through that they think are in their best interest when it's not. And so my whole point of this is to tell people, vote for an individual.
Yeah.
Like, that's your right. You're not exercising your right as a community member if you go in and check one box.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't know who you're voting for, why are you voting? And I'm saying vote for an individual. Like, look at the candidates, do a little research. Don't go to your favorite news outlet. Go to just Google and YouTube. Watch what they say. Because right now in November, we have what I think is the most historic election regarding public schools in all of our lifetimes. We've got Greg Abbott at the very top, who pushed these vouchers through that all of the evidence is saying were horrible, because everyone knew it was going to be, that was in the know, that are really bad for the public education system. And then there's this lady named Gina Hinojosa, who I've been watching tons of video on, and her number one priority and only priority is fixing public education. Just go watch her. Just watch 2 or 3 minutes of it, and then go see what Greg Abbott's doing. He's been in charge for, this is his 4th term.
Yeah.
And we shut 100 public schools in Texas this year. Fort Worth ISD got taken over. The school in Houston got taken over by the state. They've already admitted they can't run it, and now they're running the actual school on a day-to-day basis. Like, it's not going to get better.
No.
And so you've got Greg Abbott and schools closing, and then you've got Gina Hinojosa, who actually cares about public schools and the kids. You got, go do your own research. It's very, very evident which one of those two cares about the children of our state, the future of our state. The reason we're not talking about estate planning today is because why does it matter if we're going to have an uneducated population?
Right.
Why does it matter if we're not going to stand up for the children? None of it matters. We're talking about Texas. People love Texas. You know what Texas is? It's a big piece of dirt with a bunch of public school, 5.5 million. 95% of our kids go to public schools. Why are we passing vouchers that might help 4.5%? And the statistics are saying it helped like 0.3%, but we're taking money out of the public schools. Don't talk about Texas unless you know what Texas is made of, and it's made up of me and you and a whole bunch of kids.
Yeah.
And we are mandated by our Constitution to provide public education, an efficient public education. And so this November, I know people think, oh, it's just one vote. This is the year that your vote actually matters.
Yeah.
Because there are, take my family. They're all, right now, would vote for Greg Abbott because that's what they've always done.
Mm-hmm.
They think Democrats are evil and Republicans are great. That's not an excuse anymore.
No.
That excuse is not going to fly. And I don't care if it's Democrats that say that Republicans are awful and Democrats are great. That doesn't fly either.
I mean, that happens as well.
Yeah, it does. It goes both ways. But reducing yourself to a letter.
Yeah, if you saw both candidates without knowing which side of the aisle they were on, which would you identify with and which would you want in charge of your children's education or my children's education?
All of our children's education, and I would dare say the future of this state. The state's going to be nothing if we don't educate the populace. And so, yeah, you've got Greg Abbott running against Gina Hinojosa, and then you've got the U.S. Senate race between Ken Paxton, who's the Attorney General, and got impeached by his own party, got divorced from his wife for infidelity, has been not convicted but charged with numerous crimes, including fraud. Probably should lose his law license. Running against this guy that I just found out about a couple of years ago, because when I get with certain friends, I go on these rants about public education because, even in my spare time, this, it means a lot to me. So I was on a rant one time down in Houston at this giant oil and gas conference, and I was just, giving it to him about vouchers and all of this stuff. And one of my very good friends said, "Have you seen this guy, James Tallarico?" And I was like, "No." And he said, "Well, he's a state rep in Austin, and he's literally saying all of the same things that you're saying."
Mm-hmm.
And so I watched a video of him, and I was like, "Holy crap, he is." And during the second session, this past session, when they got vouchers passed, he spent probably 20 hours on the mic, on the floor. Every chance he got up and told him what an awful, horrible plan this was. And then I found out he's a Democrat. And I was like, holy shit, we have the exact same views. Well, did you look at that?
Yeah, wait a minute.
If I'm voting for the person,
Yeah.
this guy is going to stand up for the children of Texas. And the guy that he's running against sued Alito ISD during the last session. Ken Paxton did. Because our superintendent sent out an email and said, "Hey, this is not political advice, but here are the issues. And, here's some facts." He sued Alito ISD, spent the state's money to sue Alito and 17 other districts because it called it profiteering or racketeering, some BS. So you've got that guy, Ken Paxton, running against this guy, James Tallarico, who, lots of friends and family of mine will shun him just because he's a Democrat. I'm saying it is your constitutional right to vote for the individual. And you can no longer vote for Greg Abbott and Ken Paxton and say that you care about public education to me. You can't.
How do you think people can separate their political party from the values that they actually believe in?
I think one way would be to live out a lot of people have professed their life for Christ. And so I think the only thing that is bigger than politics is religion.
That seems like a wild statement.
I don't even know if it is anymore. Like, I think that people's politics have overtaken their religion.
Yeah.
But if you look at these two guys that are running for the Senate, one of them is an ordained minister in James Tallarico, and one of them is a criminal.
Literally.
Indicted.
By
Impeached by his own party. The only reason he got out of that is because somebody paid Dan Patrick, the lieutenant governor, to change the trial terms. But his own party voted to impeach him. So you have a criminal, and then you have a guy that's actually in your religion, practicing your religion, an ordained Christian minister. And if there's ever a time to be tribal, it's right now. Yeah. Go vote for the Christian. Don't vote for this criminal. Yeah. And so I think that people need to think outside of the party, and they need to look at the individuals and see what the individuals are saying. But if they have to be tribal, this is the one time that, this guy's like, could not be more of a Christian.
Yeah.
If you wrote it up, he practices what he preaches, and he preaches to help the kids in our state.
I believe he was a teacher in San Antonio a while.
Yeah. He was a teacher first, then he became an ordained minister, and now he is doing the good work, which I don't want to do. I don't want to go down to that den of thieves down in Austin and run for a party and have to kiss the ring. But, he's down there shaking it up.
He is.
And if you are a Christian in this state, like, there's a very, very clear choice. Mm-hmm. It's easy. And then the same with Hinojosa and Abbott. Look at their actions. Like, watch them. And then just vote for the individual. Like, I honestly think that straight party ticket voting should be unconstitutional, but clearly I'd have to pass that through.
Right.
They're not going to. It's kind of like term limits for U.S. senators.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, we should have them, but it's never going to pass because those people have to vote on it.
And they're too ill to do so.
Yeah, but I would say I would just ask two questions, like, what matters to you? Maybe three. What matters to you? Is one of those things education? And then which one of these candidates is going to have our kids back? Because none of that other stuff, all that stuff is just news fodder, all the other issues. It comes down to, does your government provide a path for your child to make it in this life? And if you take away the public schools, they don't.
No.
And they're burning.
Like,
Rome is on fire. 100 schools closed last year. The state's now running, I don't even know how many, but 2 giant ones in Fort Worth ISD and Houston ISD. And it's their fault. They cannot say that public schools are failing. They need to say, we are failing you, the populace of Texas.
Yeah, in case anyone forgot, that politicians work for their constituents.
They're supposed to.
Includes the children in the future.
Yeah. No, that's the whole reason for government. The whole reason for government is to provide roads and schools and hospitals, and they work for us. It doesn't feel like it, does it? No. It feels like they work for a couple of billionaires and special interest.
It does feel that way.
Yeah.
And it feels like they want you to be more ignorant about everything so that you don't have critical thinking skills and you don't question the norm and you vote like your mama did and your mama's mama and your mama's mama's mama, and that's it.
Yeah, an ignorant population is much easier to control. But, regardless of the special interests and the lobby and all that, because we're not going to fix that in the short term. That would take, decades. But we can stand up for education this year in November. but it's going to require people to make an uncomfortable choice not to vote right down the party line like they always have, and to actually look at the candidates. But if you're not, then why are you voting?
And why aren't you voting if you're not voting?
That's exactly right. But yeah,
Why don't you care?
look at the candidates, and especially, Christianity is big in Texas.
Yeah. Almost as big as football.
Almost as big as football, the number one religion. But if you are a Christian and you want to do what Christ would do, there's a very easy choice in both of those races. The Texas governor race and the U.S. Senate race for Texas. Like, there are 2 Christians on one side and 2 not on the other. There are 2 people that care about our kids on one side and the other 2 don't. They only care about themselves. And that's not me talking. Those are the fact. Like, look it up.
The actual facts.
Do your own research. Hit me with a question in the comments. I'll be happy to talk about it.
Let's do that.
Because this is, a lot of people are starting to notice, just seeing it on, socials, like people are still pissed about the vouchers, as they should be.
Mm-hmm.
That money should never be sent to a private school. I got nothing against private schools, but what's
No.
funny? All of my friends that send their kids to private schools didn't want the vouchers.
Yeah, because they could afford it.
They can afford it, and now their enrollment's gonna get flooded if they do work. And they're like, no, we're going to school with the kids that we want to be going to school with.
Yeah. And there is school choice here in Dallas right now. You can go to any school that you want in my neighborhood. So, but those are all public schools. But that money should be going to those public schools that are there for the entire community.
Yeah. Yeah, and the people that are paying the money for private schools want it to stay that way. Because guess what? If you give all of those kids $10,000 to go to that private school, spoiler alert, tuition just went up 10 grand.
Yeah.
They don't want it. They're like, we're fine. We even like our public schools. Just spend the money over there.
Yeah.
So, like, no one that I've talked to wanted vouchers at all. And I have friends on both sides of the aisle. I have friends all over the place. Nobody wanted it except Greg Abbott, and he got it. At what cost? The cost should be run his ass out.
I think that's exactly what the cost should be.
But we're going to need some people to stand up and use their thinking cap and be brave. Maybe vote for a statewide Democrat for the first time in their life, like I'm planning on doing.
Or maybe just vote for the best person.
That's what I'm saying. I don't care
Who cares?
if it's an R or a D. Voting for the person that is going to take care of our kids.
Yeah. All right. What do you hope teachers hear from our conversation today?
That teachers need to vote. I know that they're busy. That's part of the plan. Like, they don't get out and vote. Teachers don't, like, historically, because they're busy.
Mm-hmm.
And I want them to know that there are people out there that have their back. Because I know it doesn't feel like it right now.
Mm-mm.
But every one of your family members need to get out and vote,
Mm-hmm.
not just you. Like, I don't know the number of teachers. I've looked it up before, but multiply it by 5, at least 5 people you can rally to vote.
Yeah.
Get the teachers out to vote. Get the people that are married to teachers to tell their friends to vote. And we all vote for the candidate that's going to help the teachers out, because they are treading water right now. So many teachers that cry on the way to work and cry home, but they still go.
Yeah.
They're the hardest working people ever. And so we need to have their back, but they need to have their back too.
Yeah.
They need to get the teacher vote out. And they need to talk to everyone they know that cares about education to get out and vote this November. Like, this is the big one.
All right. If Erik Martin had to leave Texans with one final thought about education and the next generation, what would it be?
Texans are brave. We always have been. We always will be. Exercise your right. Vote, but don't vote on a straight party ticket. Get out there and be brave. Vote for the person that's going to take care of our state.
Use your noggin.
Use your noggin.
I love it.
Use that public school education and go save public school education.
Yeah.
And that's it. I mean, if we don't do it this November, we're in bad shape.
This generation will be screwed already.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, tough conversations are fun to have with you, Erik.
Thank you, Leslie.
And for those of y'all that don't know, Pearls has closed indefinitely or definitely, I don't know. But we are hitting the road because turns out there's a lot of y'all that have questions about estate planning and trust and wills, probate, all that stuff. Erik here knows the answers. I know how to get people together. So check us out on social media. Erik Martin Says. Obviously, tell your friends about the podcast. Please share this one specifically with your friends. This is a good one.
Yeah, and like Leslie said, we're taking our show on the road. We'll be in Dallas at Vector
Vector
Brewing in Dallas next week, and then we'll have different venues around Fort Worth and Dallas. And so if you'd like to see us at a particular venue, hit us up in the comments and we'll check it out. But we look forward to bringing the show to the people.
Sounds good. All right. Well, thank you for joining us. Please follow us and go vote.
Yep, and we'll talk to you next time.
Bye.
Bye.